Hello, fellow Crusaders, and welcome to our very special episode. My name's Sean Wasserkrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And it's that time of year. It's the end of 2023, which means that it's our annual going through and telling you guys what we liked, what we didn't like, what surprised us, what pissed us off. We love doing these. Sometimes we piss each other off with our answers because we're fighting over, ones that we liked and dislike, and others we're in full-on agreement and we will never change our mind. And today's episode is the one that people tend to like the most. Well, actually, second most. A lot of people love it when we shit on movies until it's a movie that they love, but they also like disappointed movies. The movies that we were so excited for and they just didn't hit the mark for us. And I will say, and Brian, I want to see if you agree with me on this. At least for the first half of the year, that's all 2023 was. We called it the year of meh because there were so many movies that we were excited for, and they just were average to below average. Nothing really blew us away until was it April? Was April like the first? Was it April or March where we finally had?
I know it was better than the previous year because the previous year we had like nothing, but this year we at least had some good ones in there. But there was a bunch of stuff we disappointed until I'd say about April it kicked in the year. Late March it was.
Yeah, exactly. And so
John Wick time.
Yeah, John Wick. I think because all we had was Scream. Was like the one good thing, and then everything else was like, oh, this is coming out, and it's like, and it was just a very just blah first half of the year. Second half of the year, a lot stronger, but some real bad movies as well in the second half of the year. But we're not talking about the worst films. We are talking about the most disappointing films of 2023. Basically, how we're gonna do this is, how many honorable mentions do you have? I have 5.
I do have 3.
You have 3. Okay, so we're going to go through our honorable mentions, and then we're going to go through our top 5 most disappointing. We'll just go back, forth. Now, I'm going to preface this like I do every year. Disappointing does not necessarily mean the movies were bad. It just means that they didn't hit the mark that we were expecting, such as last year for me, my number 1, I think was actually in your top 10 of the year, which was Jurassic World Dominion, which I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, and I wanted Jurassic World Dominion to finally make me happy after Fallen Kingdom pissed me the fuck off, and it didn't. It disappointed me greatly, and I just was so bummed and maybe even more pissed off when it was in Brian's top 10 for the year. And I'm pretty positive one of mine on here is probably also still going to be in Brian's top 10 of the year. But like I said, these movies aren't necessarily bad films. They're films that just didn't capture what we wanted. And we're not going to be those fans that are like, that's not the movie I expected to come through my brain. I hate it. We're not like that. We're not those people who were pissed at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness because they didn't.
That was the first one I thought of when you said
exactly
that.
Because they didn't get the fucking cameos they wanted, or pissed off at The Last Jedi or Rise of the Skywalker because it wasn't the Star Wars film they wanted. These are just movies that just, at the end of the day, they were lackluster in what we held them at a higher regard, and they just did not match what we were hoping.
Yeah, the very definition of disappointing is taking expectations versus what you got. And it's like some of them might be good, some of them might be bad, but it's just it fell so far below what you were hoping for.
Yeah, so before you guys come at me and go, hey, wait, you gave this movie a 70%. That was because I expected it to be in the fucking.
I hoped it to be 100. Yeah.
Yeah, I hoped it to be in the high 80s and 90s, and it got a 70. That's that's a drop. Yeah, I don't think any of my movies got in the 80s. I think there's a couple 70s in here, but for the most part, they're in the middle to low scores. But how I do mine, if they were in my rated for worst films of the year, even though there are movies in my worst that are greatly disappointing to me, I did not put them on this list. I try to keep my disappointing different from my worst, and I try to keep my surprising films outside of my best films of the year, just to give you guys a little more variety. Brian doesn't fucking care.
Yeah, I, on the other hand, I have no problem doubling up. There aren't a lot of double ups actually between my lists, but there are a couple overlapping just because a lot of times I'm disappointed because something did end up in the bottom when I hoped it would be good, or ended up in the surprising because it ended up in the top when I didn't expect it to. So I don't have that on mine.
Yeah. And also, if we have the same film, which I know at least there's going to be one, there's at least one that you and I are 100% going to agree on.
Yeah.
Usually, like if I'm, let's say my movie, and I'll throw a movie out there that was like from last year. We'll say Jurassic World Dominion. Let's say I bring up Jurassic World Dominion as an honorable mention, but it's Brian's number 2. Then I will wait to talk about it until we get to it for Brian. So if I say something and he goes, "Oh, I'm going to be talking about that later," then we're just gonna move on and we will talk about that together later. So that way we're not talking about the same movie twice in the same video,
Right.
20 minutes later in a conversation. So now that you guys know the layout, we're probably gonna explain this again in every video that we do, just so that way everyone's on board. Let's go ahead and get started. Like you said, you have 3 honorable mentions and I've got 5. So let me get these are in no particular order, by the way. I didn't really rank my honorable mentions. They're just the 5 movies that I pointed out that were just outside of disappointing for me. First one is a movie that I've never been a fan of the original, even though people put this original film on a fucking pedestal, but Brian and I both agree that it is overrated as shit. But for some reason, the trailer for this got me excited. The lead is someone we both enjoy, and we want to see, rise to mega stardom. And I thought the premise of it was intriguing, and that was The Exorcist Believer. I thought this movie was going to be really good. I wasn't expecting like mind-blowing amazingness or anything like that, but I was just like, you know what? That is a well put together trailer. I am intrigued by this, and I hope it's good. It wasn't. It really wasn't. You actually liked it more than I did, but I think you were in agreement that you did. You rated it higher than I did. This was just outside my worst films of the year. I just did not like the movie. Leslie Odom Jr. Is completely wasted in this film. The way they ended the movie in general was stupid. One thing that I hate in horror films, and this one does that, is when you can't scare people with the stuff you got. So you got to do like quick cuts of just creepy visual shit. That is not anything in the movie. Like you're watching like a video from The Ring. Like, oh, let me show you this demon with saggy boobs, like boom, 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 boom. But like you haven't seen this demon at all in the film. Why are you just randomly? Oh, because it's creepy. I was like, cool. If you can't sell me on 2 girls who are possessed as being creepy, that you have to show this shit, then you've already failed. And this movie just it's edited poorly. The cuts are bad. There's also one of the worst extras of the year as the doctor in this movie is overly bad. But like I said, this movie just kind of failed in every aspect. And I really wanted it to work. I really did. Did this? I don't think this even matched you because I don't even think you even gave it any importance at all for it to be disappointing for you.
No, it did not make me disappointed list.
Yeah. Going to my next one, and this is one that I know you were disappointed, but I don't think it's on your list. If it is, I'm happy. This is probably great. I'm going to prep a little sidestep here. I know we're not like the Real Rejects or a lot of the big movie critics out there who get millions of fans and comments and thousands of comments per video. I would love that. I would. Very, very few times do I get people who actually comment on a video and are actually like attacking me. Twice that's happened this year. One we're going to talk about in another video. This one, I actually got someone who said, after I did my review for this, they go, "Oh, you must only like John Wick movies. I feel sorry for you because this is one of the best films of the year." And that is The Killer. No. This movie, Brian was more excited for this movie than I was. But you have Fassbender. I immediately am a little bit excited right at the get because I like Michael Fassbender. And then you got It's Late, so director, help me real quick.
David Fincher.
Thank you, David Fincher. I wanted to go Alex Garland. I was like, that's so not the director. That's a movie for next year. But when you have those two together and this premise of he's an assassin and stuff like that, this movie looked like it was going to be cool. It was on Brian's most anticipated earlier in the year, so he had me built up on it. And this movie, and you and I both agreed, the first 20 minutes of this film is daring you to turn it off and go watch something else. And I almost broke. And when we get to the inevitable, like, like moment in that 20 minutes, I audibly laughed out loud. And I don't mean, and I think it was intended, but I didn't laugh out loud in a good way. I laughed out loud like, you're a fucking idiot in this. And I felt that way through 90% of this film. There's one really great action sequence in this movie, like 2/3 of the way through. And that action sequence was so good that I was like, why wasn't this throughout the film? Because I felt like, much like another movie that I'm about to talk about in honorable mentions, I felt like they just kept redoing the same scene in a different setting and a different actor, with the dialogue changed up a little bit. And I felt like they just did the same sequence over and over and over again until the movie just ended. You know, it's a typical story. If guy fails an assassination attempt, and then all of a sudden the people he worked for is going after him, and then he gets to the fucking end and he finds the guy he wants, and he's like, don't make me come back here, or it's going to be bad. And then the movie ends. And you're like, what? You've been killing your way to this end point, and then you finally get to the end point, you're like, no. And then I hated this movie. It's not my worst, because visually, this movie, much like I said with Napoleon, technically, this movie is fantastic. It looks great. It sounds great. It's shot beautifully. It's just the story's a fucking snog all the way through. Did this match your disappointment? Because I know you were excited for this.
Well, it didn't make my list. The thing is, it was with David Fincher and Michael Fassbender, and the plot of it, the log line of it. I was really kind of excited about it. Although I seriously tempered my expectations, knowing it's a made for Netflix movie, which honestly, especially when you take a director like David Fincher, like his last one, Mank, I was like, ugh. It's like, you make it a made for Netflix movie, it's going to knock down my expectations a little bit. And then when it came out, yes, I was disappointed. It did not make my most disappointing list, but I was disappointed. I did enjoy it more than you, but it was not what I hoped it'd be.
Why don't you go ahead with your first honorable mention?
My first honorable mention, again, like you, in no particular order, is a movie by a comedy group that I kind of had high hopes for. They're coming off Saturday Night Live. They're kind of the new Lonely Island guys over there. It's Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Mountain, I believe it's called.
Yeah, it's Foggy Mountain.
I didn't write the whole title down here. And this is a movie, it's just an honorable mention because I really had no reason to have high expectations for it, because we haven't seen them do a movie before, and I didn't really know anything about it before it came out. But I just kind of hoped it would blow me away. I'm like, these guys can be really funny. I hope it can be great. And I watched it, and it was very It had some laughs here and there, but overall it was kind of rough. I think that they still show potential, and I have hopes for their future to put up more better stuff. But this one is kind of like, so honorable mention.
Yeah, this isn't disappointing because I had no hopes for this movie. It will be talked about in a future video, though.
I wonder which one then. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I said this when we talked about it on our Movie Crusaders Chat About episode. These three, when they're just interacting with each other,
that's when they're the best.
Yeah, it was the best parts. I actually had fun. It's like watching Workaholics, which I finally finished, by the way. Finally got through the whole series.
That's why I think these guys would be better if they made a movie that was more akin to like Office Space or something like that, instead of trying to make this adventure movie where it's like it's all about these setups. It's like have the three of them doing their thing.
Because the whole trailer premise made me feel like it was going to be like Without a Paddle, which I enjoy. I know it's not the best movie out there, but it's a guilty pleasure movie for me. And while it is, it's one of those things where it's like when Without a Paddle went and did their like off kilter shit, it still worked because it mingled in well with Dax and Seth and Lillard. With this, when they went off and did like their separate shit, it didn't mesh well with these guys because these guys aren't as well known as those three were.
Right.
And while these three work well together, they didn't really work well with others. And the others aspect of the stories was just kind of lame and stupid and really poorly acted. So it was one of those things where it's like when you have these three people together and they're talking and they're bantering back and forth and the bantering's really funny, but that's all they've got, then they don't enhance the stuff that doesn't work. So then everything doesn't work. And like I said, I'll go a little bit more into it in our next video, but like you said, and I agree. If they do another movie, I'm intrigued to check them out. See if maybe they get out of the, freshman entry and maybe really soar like they did, like you said, with Lonely Island with Hot Rod going into pop star. Maybe they'll have a better chance, or maybe they'll just stay on Saturday Night Live and we never see him again.
Right. What's your next honorable mention?
Mine, this one came out at the beginning of the year. I know you didn't watch this because you don't care for this, and that's not a negative thing. You just never watched it. And that is Teen Wolf, the movie. I loved the TV series Teen Wolf on MTV. I love the characters. It's what brought us Dylan O'Brien, who we both enjoy on the channel here. And Tyler Posey and all the rest. I'm just blanking all of the names right now. But I went back and rewatched the entire series before this came out. And I was so excited to see these characters come back. And the movie just kind of felt like 3 episodes just kind of crunched together. And the story just really wasn't all that interesting. They added new characters, and the characters weren't fleshed out enough for me to care. I just cared about the original cast, because it'd be one thing if they were doing this to set up a new series, like a spinoff with these new characters, but it's not. And so you're bringing back returning characters that you loved and missed, and some of them you thought were dead, and they ended up being still alive, and you bring them back in, and you want to focus on them, but then they keep focusing on these new characters. I'm like, I don't care about these characters because I'm never going to probably see them again. Let me see the OGs. And then you also don't get Dylan O'Brien at all for the most part in this. Actually, no, he's not in it at all because he didn't want to come back and shoot it. So you take the best part of Teen Wolf out of it. And it just, like I said, it wasn't bad, but it just felt like 3 episodes of the show just kind of smushed together. And as I was watching it, I was like, it's one of those things where it's like, had I not gone back and rewatched the series, maybe I would have been like, oh, I'm so glad I'm seeing everyone back doing their thing again. But it's like, I just got done watching 6-7 seasons of this. So I just felt like I was just watching new episodes, and it didn't.
So as somebody who didn't watch the show, did the series itself have like an ending, or was it like left open, like got canceled?
It was, oh, no.
Like was this movie, did they make this movie because they wanted to have closure, or did they make it just to cash in years later?
Oh, it was cash in years later. Because like, it's one of those things where it's like the show ends, but it's an open-ended ending. Like they definitively end storylines for the show, but it's open-ended as like the battle goes on elsewhere. Like,
so it wasn't like they made the movie to give it proper closure. It was just to make a movie.
It was just to make a movie. I think it was just more or less like, hey, Paramount Plus, let's, we got Teen Wolf on here. Let's bring everyone back to do a movie. And everyone came back outside of Dylan O'Brien, so I was happy to see, oh, they got all these people decided to come back, which is cool. But the story just wasn't good enough to be a movie. You're expecting just something more out of it. And it just was like, this just feels like 3 episodes, and I wanted more out of it. Like I said, it was not bad, but it didn't blow me away. Not that I wasn't expecting like a top tier performance, because this is still an MTV show, but I just expected more from it. What was your next honorable mention?
In 2009, I believe it was, we got a little movie called Black Dynamite, which I only watched because everybody told me it was hilarious, and it was, because I wouldn't have any interest in this movie. It's about, a spoof of blaxploitation movies. I'm like, okay, whatever. Who stars in it? Michael Jai White. Okay, whatever. Straight to video man himself. But I watched it. It's hilarious. I love the way it makes fun of the movie, not just in the story, but in the way it's filmed and the filmmaking and the kind of the acting and everything that they kind of spoof in that movie. It's great. If you haven't seen Black Dynamite, go see it. Years and years later, they never made a sequel to it, because they made like an animated series, I think, but they never made a sequel to it. But years and years later, we hear they're getting together, the same, like the creators behind Black Dynamite, and Michael Jai White's coming back, except this time is doing like a black Western. And I'm like, okay, same people, same star. They can have a lot of fun spoofing like Westerns. And it just, the title of it is The Outlaw Johnny Black.
Yeah.
And it came out, and I went and saw it, and no, it was not funny at all. It almost, first of all, it just, they filmed it they didn't do the same thing where they kind of made fun of the filmmaking style of that era and things like that. They just filmed like any other movie today. So you lost that whole point of it. So the only thing to be funny was the actual story itself. And it wasn't even that funny. There were times in the movie where I think they forgot they were making a comedy and just tried to make it a straightforward Western. And then there were other times where they had like these really, off the wall jokes. And so it just didn't work for me. Michael Jai White kind of seemed like he was a little bit sleepwalking through it for a paycheck, which I don't know if that's the case, but he just didn't kind of have the same pizzazz there. So I just came out of this one disappointed. Again, not my worst list of the year, but seriously disappointed based on what I expected after Black Dynamite.
Yeah, I actually remember watching the trailer for this going, this looks fun. And then you're like, it's not. And I'm like, oh. I was like, I guess I won't watch it then.
Yeah,
So,
I wanted it to be funny, but no.
this next one for me was one where I think you and I were both actually generally excited for this. I want to say this is Apple. It's either Apple or Netflix. I want to say it's Apple though. You and I were both excited because of the two leads. We both enjoy the two leads. And because of one's performance in a previous film, we're like, yes, this is what we want. And that is the action rom-com Ghosted.
Talking about it later.
Talk about it later. So we will move on. Go ahead with your final honorable mention.
My final honorable mention is another one that we were interested in mainly because of the people behind it, that being Christopher Landon and David Harbour. And it is a movie on Netflix.
It is
called
Netflix, yeah.
We Have a Ghost. Yep. We Have a Ghost. Again, Christopher Landon, who's done like Happy Death Days, he did Freaky. He was gonna do Scream 7. That's not happening now. Not sure there's gonna be a Scream 7.
We will eventually talk about that whole situation when we do our next episode of the Crusaders chat about. But we gotta get all these episodes done first.
Yeah. But Christopher Landon has done a great job of mixing kind of horror and comedy and kind of bringing a new fresh take on horror. So I was looking forward to see what he did next. You put David Harbour in the lead. That's a good first step, especially because David Harbour, we know he can do like, the tough guy thing. We know he can also do comedy very well in a lot of movies he's in.
He's also good with drama.
Oh yeah.
Jesus. Dramatic moments. God.
Right. And so I'm like, I'll check this out. Yeah, it was super mid, as the kids would say.
It definitely is mid. It's very mid.
Yeah, it wasn't all that funny. You take David Harbour and you make him be silent through the movie, which kind of is stupid because
have we not learned from Willy's Wonderland with Nick Cage? You don't bring someone like Nick Cage on, you don't let him fucking talk. You definitely don't let David Harbour not talk.
Yeah. It's like, so I honestly don't have a lot more to say about this movie. It's just a movie I watched and I didn't hate it. I just kind of sat there like, it was just, especially with something like Christopher Landon. Like I was waiting to see what he did next, and I'm like, if this is what he was doing next, I wish he would just skipped it and done the next thing. So
yeah, this was in my honorable mention, but I felt like I had too much stuff from the half year review. So I was like, I need to bring something else in. So my last honorable mention actually took the spot of We Have a Ghost. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. Plus, they like made Harbour just look like a doofus. Like he had like the bad comb over, and like was it like a Hawaiian shirt or something? It was just
it was like a 60s style or 70s style.
Yeah, it was just. And then
they had Anthony Mackie in there, which is good. I mean, but
even then you didn't utilize him. You didn't utilize Mackie that well because I was like, oh, those two and Landon, this is gonna be great. And it just was.
And don't get me started on Jennifer Coolidge.
But she's barely in it, so
she is barely in it, but it's enough to annoy me. So
exactly, like it has moments.
Oh yeah, it definitely has moments. I still gave it. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. So
yeah, I think I gave it like a 2.5 or a 3, and it was just kind of like. Yeah, the whole time watching, I'm just like, what this could have been.
Yeah.
Because, like, did Landon decide that this is what he wanted, or did someone step in and, like, cut him, at the knees? I don't know, because we know how good Landon is as a director. This is not that. Yeah. So, yeah, it was really disappointing. My last honorable mention came out this past week. I
knew it.
Oh, fuck you. I should have known better because this has happened many, many, many times before. And the reason why it's not higher on my list is because I partially did know better. But you and I both got ourselves somewhat excited for this, and we both should have known better. But I don't think this is bothering you as much as it bothers me. And that is Rebel Moon. The Child of Fire Part 1. When I heard Zack Snyder was basically doing a Star Wars movie, I was like, okay, that sounds really freaking cool.
Yeah, it started as a pitch for a Star Wars movie. Yeah.
It started, and then it changed into something else, which I said in my review that I just dropped earlier this week. It started as Star Wars, but it's basically the Magnificent Seven. It really fucking is. If you watch Antoine Fuqua's Magnificent Seven, I don't know
Or
if the original
one, or actually there's already a sci-fi version of this called Battle Beyond the Stars, which is a low budget kind of shitty movie from the 80s, but it's actually kind of fun. But it's the exact same.
It's the same thing, and it's just like you add Charlie Hunnam, who I love. You had Sophia Boutella, who we both enjoy. Jaimin Hansu, Ed Skrein. I mean, these are all people we like, and visually it looks great. It's Zack Snyder. We know it's always going to look good. Granted, the very first scene of the film, the outer space opens up like a vagina.
It's a big space vagina.
It's a giant
going out of it. Yeah.
It's a fucking giant space vagina with a penis-sized ship going through. I should have known better. Right when the movie started, I was like, oh fuck. But I didn't, and that's on me. But it's just one of those movies where it's like, yes, it's a two-parter, and the trailer makes it look like they're going to explain a lot of the shit that we wanted in the first movie. But if that's the case, then why release this like this? Because there's so many characters that are just like introduced, and you don't give a shit about any of them. The one character with the most charisma in the movie, you fucking killed off at the end, and because he's basically the Han Solo of the movie. You have a robot who does something and then just runs away, and then you get a brief clip of him at the end, and it's like, wait, what? He went through some shit. Where's that story? We didn't get that story. You know, you spend like 20 minutes on like Tatooine learning about these people and stuff, and then like they go, we're going on the mission, bye, and then we never go back to them. You know, it's just like, well, we've been living in the world with them for like 20 minutes. Like that, what was her name? Sarah or Samantha or something? Like she seemed like she was a very vital character. We never go back to her. We know she's
to be fair, the teaser for part 2 heavily.
I get that. I get that, but you can't go 2 hours and not have us.
This movie is 100% just a setup for the second part.
Yeah.
I did not mind it as much. I actually still kind of enjoyed it, knowing that it's just the first half of the story. But it still is annoying to have like that. Yeah.
I gave it a 63. It was, hey, let's go get a group of people. Here's an introduction to this one person. Oh, he can talk to basically a hippogriff from Harry Potter. How can he? I don't know. Should we ask him? Probably. Are we going to? Nope. Hey, here's a woman with basically looks like lightsabers. She kills a giant spider lady. Let's get some dialogue from her. Nope. Let's move to the next person. At any point while they're going from mission to mission to get a person, they could be having dialogue and character development and character arcs. So that way, when these characters do inevitably die, because it is like Magnificent Seven, we actually give a shit. And you didn't do it. It's like, yes, pretty colors. It looks all nice and shit. But at the end of the day, do you remember a single one of the character names?
Not offhand, no.
I do, just because I just reviewed it. But that's exactly my point. This movie is a week old, and you can't remember a single character. You remember the actors.
Twice.
What's that?
And I've watched it twice.
You've watched it twice? Oh my god, you watched it twice and you can't remember a single character.
I did a second review of it on Letterboxd where I basically just like stream of consciousness was like making comments on it, and I honestly can't remember the characters' names.
That's bad. Especially since you watched it twice. Like I said, it's fine. It's fine. But for Zack Snyder, come on, dude. Come on. Anyway, those are our honorable mentions. Now we're going to our actual top 5 most disappointing films of the year. What is your number 5?
My number 5 is a movie I just watched this week, and that is a movie called She Came to Me. This is
you and I were both excited for this movie.
Yeah, this is a movie that stars Peter Dinklage, Anne Hathaway in there, and Marissa Tomei. And based on those three, especially Peter Dinklage and Marissa Tomei, I was very interested. I watched the trailer for this movie because I didn't really know much about the story of it, and the trailer has this story that looks really interesting. It looks really fun. I'm this is going to be a good movie. I'm going to go see this movie. wasn't able to catch it in theaters. It didn't open near me, and I didn't have a chance to drive farther away and see it. But I was able to finally see it this week. And when they're telling that story in the movie, it is really good. I was really enjoying that. But that's like a third of the movie, and most of that's in the first half hour. Most of the trailers in the first half hour of the movie, because there's like these like two other storylines I think that aren't even hinted at in the movie that actually kind of take center stage, and it's like, this is not the movie I wanted to see. This is not the movie you sold in the marketing, and now I know why they marketed it that way, because the other two stories I didn't care about. So while I did like Dinklage in it, I liked Marissa Tomei in it. And I still gave it, I think, like a 3 stars, based on that part. The rest of the movie left me sorely disappointed because it was not the movie that I was expecting.
Yeah, I literally messaged you because like you guys know, I dropped 2 videos in the past 2 days where we dropped like 10 movies and reviews. This was one of them that I was going to watch and review, and I messaged you first because you usually get to see these movies before me, and I go, "Hey, is She Came to Me worth watching?" And you said, "I don't know, I haven't seen it yet." And I was like, "Okay," and so I waited, and then I heard, "Nah."
Like 3 days later, I just responded, "Nah."
And I was like, "What?" And then you said that. It's like, "Oh, it's not even the trailer." I was like, "What?" Like, that made me sad.
Yeah.
Because if I watched this, I'd be ripping this movie up and down. Because this trailer looked charming as hell. Like, I was so excited to see this movie. And now that you told me that, it's like, I don't want to be anywhere near this film. Because this movie's just going to make me angry.
Yeah, because instead, I'm not going to spoil the outcome of the movie, but instead you get a story about Anne Hathaway trying to decide if she wants to become a nun, and you get a story about Peter and Anne's son, who is apparently having this, like, who is dating this other girl, and then the girl's dad finds out and is going to get him arrested for statutory rape, and then they might go get married to try and get him out of the charges, and it's like, this whole story has nothing in the trailer about this. Yeah.
I will say this though, before I jump into this, my 5 most disappointing films of the year are the same 5 from the half-year mark. They're placed in different order,
Which I don't remember, so good.
but they are the same 5. So because these 5 movies still, like, I'm going through the list, I was like, yeah, that movie disappointed me, but these 5 really pissed me off. Granted, not at all in the worst films of the year. One of them is an honorable mention for worst, but because I just, it had to be there. My number 5 is the first MCU film of the year, Ant-Man Quantumania. Ant-Man and the Wasp, sorry, Quantumania. Obviously the state of the
talk
MCU,
about that a little bit later.
Okay. I was gonna say the way the MCU is now has been drastically changed from when this movie came out. But yes, we will talk about that later. So go ahead with your number.
Briefly put a pin in that while we'll talk about one you previously mentioned already, which is Ghosted.
Okay.
So yeah, Ghosted. Let's take you back to, was it 2020, 2021, when we finally saw No Time to Die, and Ana de Armas gets to have this great action scene while looking spectacular, I might add. Best part of the movie. And then she's like, "Okay, bye," and we're like, "Oh, she'll come back later." Nope. That's it. No. She gets to be there for one scene, and I'm like, I would rather watch an entire movie about her than this whole thing about Bond and his kid. And
hopefully we get that next year with one of our most anticipated films of the year.
Maybe. Hopefully we do. Hopefully it's good.
Maybe.
But this one, so we find out she's going to be here in an action movie. Not only that, but it's going to have Chris Evans in it, reuniting, of course, from Knives Out. And it's directed by Dexter Fletcher, who's made some good movies. So I'm looking forward to this movie, an action comedy. They were describing it as kind of a Romancing the Stone kind of thing. And I was super excited. This thing, I watched it the minute it dropped on Apple TV, and it was, again, just so super mediocre. And it's like, I didn't really feel the chemistry between the characters.
They don't have any chemistry.
They don't have any chemistry. It's like, because, yeah, and it's just like they're almost like trying to stay apart.
If you told me that they shot this during COVID, and when Anna did her scenes, there was a stand-in for Chris, and when Chris shot his scenes, there was a stand-in for Anna, I'd be like, I buy that, because it doesn't feel like these two are ever on screen together. There's no there's no interconnectivity of their chemistry through this movie.
And we know they have chemistry because they had it in Knives Out. They interacted just fine.
Exactly.
Not necessarily in a romantic angle, but still, it worked. And so I saw this, and so that part of it didn't work. And then the other part of it, of course, being the action, it just felt so super stiffly choreographed. It's almost like you could almost just watch them rehearsing the moves, and it just didn't work for me. And we know they can both do action scenes well because they've both done them very well in other movies. But it's just like
the one part that irritates the fuck out of me about this movie is that Chris Evans' character, he's a farmer. He's not anything special. I get it, he's Chris Evans, but he's a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
But his main characteristic is that he used to do high school wrestling. And so because of that, he can take on spies. He has the ability to fight guys who are trained to kill people.
Trained mercenaries, military probably.
Who get paid to kill people. But because Chris Evans did wrestling in high school, he can take them on. Shut the fuck up.
Needless to say, based on the cast and what could have been a very fun premise, easily makes my most disappointing list.
Okay, I got a question for you. Because this is going to be it's not a Sophie's choice, but this is going to be a hard one. You're either going to have an answer right away or you're going to go, ooh, that's tough. Who had the better chemistry? Chris Evans and Ana de Armas or Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney?
Powell and Sydney. Who had the better chemistry? Powell and Sydney.
Better chemistry. Because I think both couples had shit chemistry in their movies.
Well, I felt like we won't go into great detail here, but in Anyone But You, it's like I felt that there was a connection, like especially at the beginning and at some other times, and the rest of the time it's like they were supposed to be kind of at odds, even though you knew there was something in the surface there. So I think it maybe just didn't show through as bad chemistry as much because they were already kind of supposed to be at odds. Where in this movie you're supposed to kind of want them together and like.
I'm gonna go with Anna and Chris on this because I actually like their characters, whereas Anyone But You was basically Glenn Powell interacting with a fembot for 90% of the movie because Sydney Sweeney's face.
Let me clarify this by saying Glenn Powell carries this movie on his charm. Glenn Powell is blameless in this movie.
Absolutely.
But Sydney Sweeney can't act, and I feel we're going to see more of that in Madam Web. But we'll talk about
absolutely. See her face; she's straight faced the whole fuck movie.
Yeah.
Like only her tone of voice is what tells me whether she's sad or angry or sad. Other than that, she's just the whole way through. So I'm going to go with Chris and Anna, who, while they maybe have acted not in the same room together, I buy their chemistry more than I bought Glenn and Sydney Sweeney. Going to my number 4 most disappointed film of the year. It was my number 2 at the half year. It dropped down to 4, and that is The Flash. And I know before Brian says this, I had no high hopes for The Flash. I get that. I understand that. But there was one big reason why I had high hopes for this. And you know exactly. There's 2 words. Michael Keaton. You don't bring back Batman. And I say Batman. You don't bring back him and have him in this film. And Keaton's not even my favorite Batman. Not even by a long shot. But if you're bringing him back, that's like, ooh, I am so excited to see what he does with this. And his performance, and I don't even blame Keaton. I blame the writing of this film. The writing of Batman in this movie is so, like, almost Adam Westian. And Michael Keaton's not Adam West. So, like, the kitchen sequence where he's got like long hair and a beard and it's just like comically fighting, and then him like doing his quotes like right to the camera. Oh god, it was cringy. The CGI obviously is in a whole other level of dog shit through this movie. And I said this during my Aquaman review, it's like we know the DCU is ending, and you ended this in a fucking cliffhanger. We're not gonna get a continuation of this story. We're not going to see how this ends or where they go from where we saw the end. I mean, is it a funny gag to end the movie? Yeah, but you also
I will say in a small defense of this movie is that it was never intended to be a cliffhanger. It was meant to be a gag because George Clooney said you can't pay him enough money to come do another movie. He's like, I'll do this quick cameo for a little joke tag for some friends at Warner Brothers, but he was never going to do the movie. So.
Yeah, but they didn't write this movie with the intent that was the end of the story. Like, they were gonna continue with Flash, but they're not now. So like, and that's, oh, scratch that. That's not even the end point. The end
spoiler,
point,
by the way.
spoiler for me, it's been out for 6 months.
Right.
The actual end point of the Flash is him walking down the street with a drunk as shit Aquaman in a puddle drowning.
Oh, you know what? I just rewatched it this week, and I forgot to watch to the end for that.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's how you want to leave this? That, like, I get Ezra Miller is a dog trash person, but this is how you want to leave this. And Ezra Miller is great in the movie. As much as we don't like them or how they act and all this kind of shit, they are great in the film. They have a great performance. Both versions of them are well, actually, the younger version is annoying as shit, but he's supposed to be. But they're really good in the movie. But the whole third act, bringing Zod in, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be interesting with Keaton and Batman. And it's just like it's like a live, die, repeat ending, and it's just like this. You guys thought this was the best way to do it? This is the story that you're like, this is the shit. This is the movie that James Gunn thought was one of the best comic book movies of all time. No, James Gunn, you're full of shit. You're just because you're a DC person now. No, shut up. This movie was not good. Like, I gave it a solid score. I think I gave it like a 73. On rewatch, it dropped. It dropped considerably. There's good performances, but this is just this movie does not hold up after a second viewing. But yeah, it's my number 4. I know it's not even in your realm.
Because I'm disappointed.
No. Exactly. What's your number 4?
Now we can talk about Ant-Man.
Okay.
Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. I struggled with whether not to put this on my most disappointing, simply because
it wasn't on yours at the half year.
Yeah, well, I just did this is because I went into it and I'm like, Ant-Man's like they're my least favorite movies of the MC. Well, they were.
They're not even bad. They're just there.
But I'm like, I just don't. What they are, what they are, whatever. Kind of fun, just fun one-off things like that. I didn't have huge expectations for this movie. Of course, people started, doing their predicting like, oh, I bet they're gonna bring in this and all these cameos. They're expecting this movie too, just because now they do that for every single Marvel movie that comes out. I wasn't doing that. But the only thing I got really excited about was Jonathan Majors as Kang.
Absolutely.
Because obviously he's coming off Harder They Fall last year or 2 years ago. He did some other things. He was just in Creed 3, weeks earlier than this or something like that.
Yeah. And of course, his version of it in Loki.
In Loki.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him as Kang in this movie. And it was just, I just didn't care about this movie at all. So I was disappointed in where they went with Kang. Now I would have been curious to see where it goes in the future, but that's clearly not going to happen at this point. But it's like where they went with Kang, I didn't really love the story they did with him. I didn't care at all about the Ant-Man and Wasp and what's her name, Stature, Catherine Newton, the daughter. I don't care if I ever see them again, honestly. And then the worst of all is the stupidest thing ever in any MCU film ever. MODOK. It's dumb as a concept to put in a movie, and their execution of it was even worse. And because it turned into comic relief, which it already looked bad, like unintentionally bad. And
you knew that this was a shit film when the first time they showed MODOK, he started to explain how he became MODOK, and they showed his ass.
Yeah.
And you're like,
here's the thing: is MODOK can be done right. Hulu has an animated series, like a claymation kind of animated series, with Patton Oswalt as the voice of MODOK, and that show is fucking hilarious. They did MODOK right there. You cannot put that in the actual MCU in a live action setting and make it not look stupid, and they didn't. And so MODOK made this thing horrible. But from top to bottom, this movie, I was just, especially because the way the MCU has been going this whole phase, I'm like, come on, maybe this can pull it out. Maybe they'll do something big. And they advertise as like this, it's going to be this big, setting up like the next villain of the franchise.
Marketing is what did this movie end, because they built this up as an Avengers level type of.
They were even saying like, oh, Ant-Man finally gets his own Avengers level, movie.
It is their fault that this movie bombed the way it did. If they had pitched this like an Ant-Man movie, probably wouldn't have gotten the backlash and the hate that it did. But
Oh,
they
there's so many
built this
stupid
thing
shit in
up.
it, like MODOK, but it would not have. Yeah, they set expectations high, and
Yeah.
therefore that is why it ended up on my most disappointed list. And yours.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. Like I said, I went into this. Like I said, I like Paul Rudd. I like Ant-Man. I like Wasp. I don't think they need to have their own films because both those movies, like I said, not bad. They're just there. If I go back and do a rewatch of the MCU, you have to watch the first Ant-Man so you just know who he is. But there's really no reason to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. At least not right now. There isn't. So bringing these characters back in, I mean, the whole reason you want to see this is because you want to see Kang. You want to see Jonathan Majors as Kang because we got to see a little bit of him in Loki season 1 finale, and he was great in that. And here he is as actual Kang the Conqueror. And and there was, oh, is he gonna kill Ant-Man? Is he gonna kill one of the main characters? Because he's got to come out there as a Thanos level type of bad guy. And while he's good in the movie, I don't blame Jonathan Majors for anything that happened in this film. He's good. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. But at the end of the day, he got defeated by fucking Ant-Man. If Ant-Man can beat Kang, I'm sorry, he's not an Avengers level bad guy. Like, I just kept, as I'm watching the movie, I kept going, they could fix this. They can fix this. All they gotta do is this. If they do this, they'll fix it. And they don't do it. They go, did he really just get fucking beat by a bunch of ants? This is the guy that they're building 2 Avengers movies towards. Kang Dynasty and all this. And it's like, that's what you're building towards. And he just got beat by ants. And then you had the real bad CGI ending with like the arena of Kangs, which just looked fucking idiotic. And like I said, I like Catherine Newton. I didn't care about
I do too. Yeah.
I didn't care about Cassie. I got frustrated as hell with Michelle Pfeiffer, where everyone's like, tell us what's going on. I can't tell you anything. Why? Because I said so. We're already in the shit right now. Why are you still hiding information that we need? That was a frustrating character. Michael Douglas, I don't think he even knew what movie he was in. He was just there. I don't even know.
Paychecks. I didn't want Bill Murray there. I wish his character wasn't in their movie.
I was excited because I like seeing Bill Murray, but he was so worthless in this film.
If you've watched The Good Place, there's a guy I really like on there named William Jackson Harper. Like, he's gonna be in this movie. I'm like, oh, he could be a fun character. He's just
wasted. Character. Yeah, wasted. There's just so many. If this was like a Disney Plus show, it still wouldn't have been good, but it would have made more sense. And we probably would have lived in the world of the quantum realm a lot better. We would have maybe interacted with these creatures and aliens better. They probably would have been more fleshed out. But because it's a movie, you get like a 5-minute thing and that's it. And it's like, I don't care about this because you haven't given me the time to care. Yeah. And then the movie just kind of ends like a normal movie. And it's just like, this wasn't an Avengers level event. This was just a normal Ant-Man film. And you just like she came to me, you promised me something and you did not deliver on this. And because of that, you now have to try and recover this. Now, in terms of the Kang situation, Loki season 2 did that. Mm-hmm. They made Kang good again. But then Jonathan Majors had to go and do what he did, and now Kang's done. And they even wrote him off in the end of Loki, going, oh, there was a Kang in Earth blank blank blank, but they took care of it. And
that's what they do now, is they go and hunt down the remaining Kangs.
Exactly. So it's like, I almost feel like if once we inevitably get to a point where you would go back and have to rewatch the MCU, I almost feel like outside of the first Ant-Man movie, I have no reason or need to watch Quantumania. I definitely don't have a need to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I haven't watched either one a second time, I don't think ever.
Yeah, and I don't care to. And it's really bumming because Brian and I defend the MCU like crazy. I can't defend Quantumania. I can't. I really, really can't. That was your 4, right?
That was my 3. So we're on to your number.
My number 3.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive we're going to be talking about this one later. My number 3 is a movie that you and I love these guys.
Later.
Yep. I'm not even going to say what it is because it's going to be later. So go ahead with your number 3.
I gave my number 3. This is my number 2.
Okay, your number 2.
Sean's going to talk about it in a later video, but he didn't want to put it on this video. I will. That is Fool's Paradise.
Yeah.
Fool's Paradise is a movie directed by and starring Charlie Day from
Who
Always
we
Sunny, among
love.
other things,
I
who we
love him.
love. I think he's hilarious. I'm curious to see what he can do as a director. I'm like, let's check this out. He's got this great cast of like all kinds of people that he's worked with before,
Everybody.
and I know it was filmed over the course of like 5 years or something like that, where he had his friends come in and film scenes when they were available because these are big stars. He gets them for like a day. He can film a scene here and there. So it's obviously going to be filled with all kinds of cameos and even bigger supporting roles. So I'm looking forward to this movie. And this movie finally came out this year. And it is such a pile of shit. It I don't think I laughed once in this comedy.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem in it is Charlie Day. Because Charlie Day is doing like this Charlie Chaplin thing going on, which that kind of comedy doesn't really work in most movies today. And he certainly wasn't selling it. And so it wasn't funny. It was honestly a chore to get. When I went and saw this movie in the theaters, because it came around me, I seriously considered walking out about halfway through. I'm like, what's playing next door that I can walk into instead of? But I ended up sitting through the rest of it. Didn't get any better. The star of the movie actually turns out to be Ken Jeong. Not the star like he does a great job, just a star that the focus of the movie seems to be more on his character at a certain point. And it's just like, okay, I this is again, it's kind of not the movie they sold it as, but even the parts that were not funny at all.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch this until I think last month for the first time. So I had to deal with months and months and months of Brian shitting on this film. Because I love Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I love
And he's
Charlie.
like, it can't be that bad. Come on, it's Charlie Day.
I was so excited for this movie because I'm like, yes, he's going to get his own movie. He's directing it. I'm so happy for him because he talks about it on the Always Sunny podcast. He's so proud of the film. And everyone's like, dude, we watched it. It's great. And then this just verbal vomit of backlash about this movie. I was like, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. Like,
well, sometimes like I really don't like something, but then the rest of the reviews are good for it. But then this one, most people agreed.
Yeah, like it got to a point where I was like, Brian, even though you've told me to stay away from this, I'm gonna watch this. And you know what's gonna happen? You've set my bar so fucking low that I'm actually going to enjoy this movie. And he's like, if you do, the show's over. And I was like, well, we'll find out. And I watched it, and I was up like 15 minutes in, and I was like, oh shit, Brian's right. Like, it hadn't even gotten that bad.
You realize it's not funny. Yeah.
It hadn't even gotten that bad yet, but I was just like, oh no, like this is bad. And I'm not necessarily push back. I disagree. Charlie Day is not the worst part of this movie. Fucking Ken Jeong is the worst part of this movie. And guess what? He's usually the worst part in everything he's in. There's been maybe a handful of times. Hangover, 1, not the other 2. Or Community, where Ken Jeong is actually funny and is actually enjoyable. 99% of the time, he's annoying as shit, and I'm wondering why we're focusing. I mean, I hear he's a super nice guy, and he's a really nice dude and everything. Good on you. But the way you put yourself in these movies, the way you advertise yourself, you are annoying as shit. You're like nails on a chalkboard, and I can't stand to watch you. And I'll say that to his face because I have no shame in telling someone that they suck as long as they're willing to hear it. And I did not give a shit about his character. Honestly, I was waiting for his character to commit suicide in this movie because they tried to play his character so goddamn depressing that it's like, okay, well, the next inevitable step is that he kills himself, and they're going to try to make it funny, which they kind of ended up doing that to Charlie Day's character in the movie, technically. But yeah, there's so much talent in this movie. The only part of this film that I remotely got close to laughing at was Jason Sudeikis' part when he goes over to his mansion and visits him. Like, that's the only
even
part
that was kind of
yeah, but it's like that was the only part where I was like, and that's probably just more or less because fucking Ted Lasso was because I was like, oh yay, it's Sudeikis. But it's so lacking in everything, and we're obviously going to talk about this more in our worst because this is 1,000% being talked about for worst films of the year. But yeah, I wanted to put this on here and I took it off. I think I put Exorcist Believer in here for
so
this.
What is your number 2?
What's that?
So what is your number 2?
My number 2 is a movie that Brian was. I remember. I talked about this during Anticipated, and all we knew was the premise. That's all we knew. It was like, oh, it's about this. Just based off the 2 leads and the premise of this sounds really cool. Then we got the trailer, and I was as giddy as a kid on Christmas morning when this trailer came out. And Brian's like, that's cool. I don't think it's going to be as good as you think it's going to be, but I'm happy that you're happy. And then the movie came out. And this movie, it was one of the biggest missed opportunities in 2023. How you managed to shit this movie, I'll never know. And that is 65. You take Adam Driver, who's a phenomenal fucking actor. You take Ariana Greenblatt, who's actually a very promising young actress. You put them together and you have them crash land on a planet that's Earth 65 million years ago with dinosaurs. How did you make this movie boring? Here's how you make the movie boring. You randomly decide, you know what? Ariana Greenblatt's character, she doesn't speak the same language, so there's no chance of dialogue between these characters throughout the film. And you know what? Even though there's dinosaurs in the movie, let's barely have them in it. And when they are, let's make sure they look like shit until the very end of the film. And you know what? Let's have basically no plot. And let's make this movie super fucking short. And let's not do anything to give any actual standard ground to build these characters off of except from getting to point A to point B. There's a plot element that we can use Adam Driver with Ariana Greenblatt. We ain't gonna do that. Fuck it. It's Adam Driver. It's dinosaurs. People are gonna just love it anyway. This movie sucked. This movie pissed me off. Granted, I still gave it a decent score. I think I gave it like 3 stars because it still was dinosaurs and Adam Driver, and they're not bad in the movie. Like, there's no bad performances in it. This is just executed to the laziest missed opportunity a degree. Like, my parents watched this because they were like, hey, Sean, isn't there like a Godzilla movie out or a dinosaur movie out or something? And I'm like, what movie are they talking about? It came out this year. They were talking about Monarch, but they said movie. So I was like, well, the only movie I can think of is 65. Okay, cool, we'll watch that. I was like, wait, no, don't. And they watched it and they got mad at me. I'm like, I didn't recommend the movie. You just asked me what dinosaur movie came out this year, and I said 65, and you guys chose to watch it. If you had actually listened to me, I would have told you stop. They go, this movie was fucking dumb. I go, yeah, I know. I'm very upset about that movie. It pisses me the fuck off. And I don't understand what was the point of this movie. This movie could have been great. Did they not go through the draft and just go, guys, this movie's really bland? And like, what's the point? Like, this story is nothing. Like, there's really nothing to this. This movie just generally made me sad. It made me sad. I remember in the theater watching it going, there's still time. There's still time. It's going to get better. It'll get better. It'll get better.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Yeah. Oh, there's still time. There's still time. It'll be good. Shit. Here's the credits. Fuck. That was the emotion I was going through.
I tried to lower your expectations for you. You wouldn't listen to me. Just as a rule, Brian is right. Just say it. Brian is
That
right.
is not true because there are movies out there that you are dead wrong about. This obviously wasn't on your list because you had no anticipation for this movie. Don't you remember that I was like, this was like in the 20s, and then I saw the review like, this is number 2. This is number 2 most anticipated film of the year. I'm so excited. You're just like, I hope it's good for you. It's like,
for you, I did want it to be good. I will say.
This movie made me so sad. Made me so sad.
Keeping on my trend of the things you've already wanted to talk about. So this is a movie we didn't know existed until like.
Are we moving to number 1? Or are you talking about?
Yes, this is my number 1.
Okay, yeah. So this is your number 1 most disappointing film of the year.
My most disappointing film of the year,
which was my number 3. So we're talking about it now.
So I want to say like the day before we filmed the Anticipated last year is when we found out this movie even existed.
Like always for us.
Yeah, but well, no, actually, at least we found out about it ahead of time. We didn't have a trailer yet.
True.
But it's like we didn't film it and then find out about it. We filmed that show. I'm gonna sneeze.
Power through.
Apologies. Okay, sorry. So we found out this movie's coming out. We're like, just based on the who's making it and the premise, it was on both of our most anticipated lists of the year.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 420, get it? Because the 420 was and we see Broken Lizard's Quasi. It's Broken Lizard, who has made so many hilarious movies. And then they're making a story, basically their version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And like, this is going to be fucking gold. Watch the trailer. Didn't impress us, but it's a trailer, and a lot of
but you know what? Like, maybe they're holding back. Maybe they're
holding
a
lot of Broken Lizard humor. You're not gonna be able to put in a Green Band trailer. You know,
yeah,
you're not gonna be able to show this kind. So we're like, I'm not gonna judge it by its trailer. Watch the movie, and just the whole movie is like kind of like you were doing 65. Just like it can still get better. It can still get funny. Like, no, it's not getting any funnier. And I think I said in my review, it's not. It's never terrible, but it's never nearly as funny as you want it to be. It's just so completely mediocre. Most of the jokes don't hit. There's only a couple.
I think the first general laugh I got was in the final 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, there's only a couple actual genuine like laugh out loud moments in the entire movie. But yeah, I mean, and besides them, you have Adrienne Pileggi, who is I love her in most everything she does. Brian Cox was there too, and some other people. But it's just like it was just so not up to the level of what we come to expect from Broken Lizard. And it's just like it is super disappointed, and I'm just hoping that their next one is a bounce back.
Yeah, like I said, we both love Broken Lizard. I watched Tacoma FD, so I get Broken Lizard, at least part of them, you know, on the regular for me, because I love that show. And I was happy to see that most of the cast from that was in the movie. So I was like, oh, they're bringing those guys in. That's great. And I remember when we first heard about this, we didn't know who was playing who or whatever. And I literally said, I go, as long as Steve Lemmy is Quasimodo, this is going to be gold. And we saw that Steve Lemmy was I'm like, yes, because I was so worried that Kevin was going to be Quasi.
But he was directing it, so I bet he purposely didn't. But the main character.
That was my main worry, was that they were going to make Kevin Quasi. It was like, don't. I was like, if it's Steve, it's going to be funny. If it's Kevin, who knows? It was Steve. And yeah, I just remember watching it going, has my sense of humor changed? Have I no, was it because I still laugh at Tacoma FD? So it's not my humor. It's just this movie's just not funny. And it's just the jokes are lame. And they're all playing dual roles, and it's just like even that's not hitting the right way. And like I said, finally I laughed, and I looked at the time, and I was like, wow, there's less than 10 minutes left of the movie, and I finally actually laughed at the first thing. I was like, that's bad. That's really, really bad. I just remember texting you. I think I was like, I want to say I was ahead of you by like 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, how are you doing? And you go, dude, this is rough. I go, I'm 15 minutes ahead of you. It doesn't get any better. And you're just like, shit. I go, yep, it's over. Hooray. And then you finally caught up. Like, it was like, dude, that was sad. I go, yeah, it was. It's like, because we both were so like, oh, yeah, like this and like Jackass Forever. We were both like, yeah. Jackass Forever actually, did what it was supposed to do. This did not. And yeah, I hope Broken Lizard can figure something out, because
the next one's supposed to be a third Super Troopers movie, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
The second one wasn't good either. The second one was just the same jokes from the first film rehashed and not.
I still enjoy it. I still enjoy it too, though. But it's like I would prefer to do something else. But if that gets them, keeps them going, instead of like them saying you're going to end on this bad movie, at least they're going to maybe do well with that one and get to make more.
I almost want them to go back to horror, because I loved Club Dread.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people didn't like Club Dread. I love Club Dread. I would like to see them go back to do the horror comedy element, because horror comedy works if you have funny people around them. And these guys are funny. You know what I would love? Put them with Landon. Landon's direction with Broken Lizard's writing, have them meet in the middle. That could be some fun shit. I would be so on board for that. But yeah, Quasi was just utter disappointment.
Yeah.
My number one.
I'm curious. I don't know what this is.
My number one most disappointing film of the year, I am worried, is going to be in Brian's top 10. Because of his personal reasons. And because it was in his top 10 at the half year. It was in his top 10 at the half year. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? We've been waiting for this movie for a while because it's been a while since they announced this film. And the last one wasn't good, but there was one reason why this movie had Brian was already having negative thoughts about this movie. I was like, no, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good because of one reason. One fucking reason this movie's gonna be good. And who was that? What was that one reason? What was the reason why I kept saying this was gonna be good?
I don't know. Oh, you like the director, James Mangold.
James Mangold was directing it. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I was championing this movie all year, even when people were going, it's very mediocre. It's not getting a good ride. I go, nope, fuck you. Mangold is solid. Mangold made Logan. Mangold made this, and this. Mangold's not going to let me down. Mangold let me down. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is not bad. It's not bad. Maybe I put it on too high of a pedestal. Brian should have had it on the highest pedestal because Indiana Jones is like one of his favorite fucking characters ever. But I had it on a higher pedestal than Brian. Brian was kind of heating his expectations.
Well, you know what? It was interesting is I made it, I believe, my number one most anticipated last year.
It was.
But I said in my actual expanding on my thoughts, it's my number one most anticipated, but not necessarily because like I think this is gonna be the best movie of the year. I said I'm anticipating it because it could be good, but there's a real good chance it could be bad too. And it's like it's this mystery to me, but I really wanted to see what's going to turn out.
But I kept saying no. Mangold's directing. Mads Mikkelsen is the bad guy. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in this. I like her and other things.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. And it just was. I mean,
and I'll be honest with you, if Kingdom of the Crystal Skull never existed, and the next one we got after Last Crusade was this would be top of my list. But I had learned to lower my expectations.
Yeah.
Before
I mean, it was better than.
And I still enjoyed parts of it, like you. I still enjoyed plenty of it.
It's better than Crystal Skull.
That's a low bar.
But not by much. The de-aging. I didn't think the de-aging was that bad. A lot of people shit on the de-aging of it. Is it noticeable? Sure. I mean,
it's probably the best de-aging we've seen, but it's still noticeable. It's just not there yet.
It was just more the mouth didn't work as well as they thought it would. But I mean, I thought the first 20 minutes was fun as hell. I was excited because the first 20 minutes, I'm like, yes, this is actually going to be good. I'm enjoying this. Yes,
can we just do a full 2-hour Indiana Jones movie de-aged? Come on.
I would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
I would have been okay with that because that first 20 minutes, I was like, yeah, the mouth doesn't work, but you know what? Fuck it. It's still fun. It's still good. And then we got the present day with sad Harrison Ford. And I was just like, oh no, this is depressing. And like, I get Harrison Ford's older now, but oh my God, like this is, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character is so goddamn annoying. And I like her. I do. But my God, I wanted her character to die. Because she was just that fucking annoying the whole way through. And then you added the short round wannabe character in this movie. It's like, I'm a pilot because I practiced on cardboard. Fuck you. That's not how you learn how to fly. And yeah. And then like the happy ending. Like, I'm sorry. When he got shot in the gut, he's dead. He should have been dead fucking like an hour ago. And he's still like, leave me here. I want to stay here. And it's like, you know that's not how that shit works. And then it's like, punch. So you dragged his ass. Like, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is not strong. She dragged Harrison Ford's ass into that plane, and he still got home and still was able to be saved in the fucking 60s or 70s or whatever from a gut shot wound. Fuck you. Harrison Ford's character would have died way, way, way before that. But we had to have that happy ending, and then we had to leave that little tail end that, like, oh, Indy could come back. No, please don't.
He's not.
please. He fucking can't. But that was like, just look. In my opinion, I'm now like with Brian, where he was like, "There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies, Sean." No, there's Chris Cole. There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies, Sean. There's 3. Shut the fuck up. I'm right there now too. There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies. There's 2 that claim to be Indiana Jones movies, but they're not. There's only 3. And they ended on The Last Crusade when they rode off into the sunset, which was the best ending to the franchise.
I find it best to look at Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny, which I did enjoy more than you, but it is not everything I want it to be, obviously. But I tend to look
weird
at them.
Thing is, I like Crystal Skull more than you do, but you like Dial of Destiny more than me, and I like Dial of Destiny more than Crystal Skull. That is how the weird range goes for this shit.
But I tend to look at both these 2 movies kind of like the expanded universe, the further adventures of Indiana Jones, like when they make like comic books or when they made like, novels of like other adventures of Indiana Jones. But it's like, these are the 3 real story. And if you want to read right, here's some other ones we made up.
I still think one of the most ridiculous things that happened in the movie was how Mads Mikkelsen took a header into a pole in the beginning of the movie.
And on a train that's going like 80 miles an hour.
It somehow A, survived, and B, was not deformed or disfigured because of it. He was just, I'm just Mads Mikkelsen. It's like,
he had a little scratch.
He had a little scratch. It was like, dude, your head should have been right there with Anthony Hopkins and Speed.
Like, you're splattered. It's like driving into a wall at 80 miles an hour.
He's obliterated, but here he is fucking kicking away. You're just so fucking ridiculous. But yes, that is our most disappointing films of the year. Like I said, not all of them are necessarily bad movies. These are, I think, outside of like fucking Quasi and The Exorcist Believer and probably Foggy Mountain, like all these movies are average, maybe a little bit below average, but like I said, we wanted them and expected them to be better. So that's why they're our most disappointed films of the year. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the movie Crusaders. Of course, we're going to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Comment below. What were your most disappointing films of the year? Do you agree, disagree with us? Are there some movies that you felt that we should have said? There's some, I guarantee there's some that you guys are going to post where like, we fucking love those movies, or you're going to go, no, you're wrong. Rebel Moon was one of the best films of the year because I love fucking Zack Snyder. Let us know in the comments below. Coming up next, we will have our most surprising films of the year, which are movies that we didn't expect much from, but blew us away, whether it's in like top tier territory or just go, hell, it's way better than I thought it was going to be. And then, of course, our worst films of the year, which that's just going to be a very angry conversation throughout. And then, of course, our best films of the year. We also have our, which is an episode that Brian and I love shooting every year, is our most anticipated films of 2024. We get to talk about the hopefulness.
We get to talk about next year's most disappointing movies.
Exactly. Like I was with 65 earlier this year. I was like, oh, this is going to be so great. And here I am talking about it as one of the most disappointing films of the year. Yeah. This is where we get to see, hey, Sean, do you remember this like 12 months ago? Here you are now. And Brian, remember this movie you were super excited for? It got postponed. Because that's what happens with Brian's movies, is that they don't come out.
I'll just be happy if we see some of these movies this year. Yeah,
exactly. But like I said, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch the movies. Go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.